Christmas, Bob Floss. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. I do have one question, considering the time of year. What is the greatest thing, or things if you want, that this community, the stitching community, Floss Tube community, has brought to you? That is my question.
Happy Flossmas Day 27. And happy Friday. Today is the very last Friday off the grid Stitch With Me of 2019. So you know it had to be a Stitch With Me video. Had to end the last Friday of the year with a Stitch With Me video. So I asked Kyle, oh, here I go again. I always say Ruckemeyer, and it's Reckemeyer. Hopefully I still got that right. I asked Kyle, his channel is Stitching in Sound. And just a note about Kyle's channel, at the moment it is set to private. Just for a few extra days over the holiday, but then he will have it back up, I think, next week. Kyle, you can leave me a comment below and let everybody know when your channel is going to be back up for public consumption. So many of you may remember that Kyle used to ask me some questions every week that I would answer on Monday Floss Tube, and so I thought it'd be fun to kind of revisit that a little bit. But this time I got him to send me a video, like I shared with you at the beginning there. And I think he's asked me a pretty special question, and kind of a nice way to wrap up the stitching year, to reflect on what you're grateful for and all those kinds of good things. So before I get to Kyle's question, clearly I am working on an old favorite. This is called Savon by Landmark Tapestries and Charts. You can find these charts at www.celtichobbies.com. I will leave a link in the drop-down box below. The owner of that shop, Claire, is lovely. I do believe that she still has a few extra copies of Savon that have come back into stock recently. I posted about them coming in. I reposted Claire's post in the Facebook group, the Friday Off the Grid Facebook group, a few weeks back. So most of them might be gone, but if you love this pattern, you might still be in luck. And I'm stitching this with all of the called for DMC flosses on a 16 count off-white Aida. And those are all of the details. I have a needle minder from my friend Lisa, who gifted me this beautiful needle minder. Oh, you can't see it. There, now you can see it. She knows I'm a huge Gilmore Girls fan, and if I'm not mistaken, Lisa is also a Gilmore Girls fan, and she gifted this to me at last year's New Jersey Floss Tube retreat. And then I have got another needle minder up here, just one that I made myself, that I put out with the Evertote summer kits last year. Matched it was the fabric that was used in the bags from last summer. So I have threaded up a couple of needles worth of floss so that I could just stitch and chat and not have to think too much about counting or reloading a needle today, because I'm sure you're all feeling the same way. It's the end of the year, end of wrapping up Christmas holidays traditions and preparing for New Year's traditions, and trying to get everything organized and whatnot. It's a busy time of year, but a happy one. Good time of year. So, Kyle's question, what is the one thing that the floss tube, the online, I'm going to broaden this more than floss tube. I'm just going to say the stitching community, because it's more than just floss tube. It encompasses Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and on and on and on, just the online stitching community at large. Did you ever watch Cheers? You know, I'm sure most of you did. Those of you who are old enough to remember it. I mean, it's been off the air for quite a while, but it is actually back on Netflix again, I noticed the other day. But the setting is a bar in Boston, and the characters there, they're all extremely different personalities, ages, interests, and yet they've sort of built this home away from home. And when they walk into the bar, you know, it's like when Norm walks into the bar and everybody in the Cheers bar says, "Norm." And I have always sort of likened the online stitching community to walking into the Cheers bar, because it doesn't matter where you are or who you are, you're always welcome. And you're always welcomed with generosity and, you know, goodness of spirit. And everybody's always just happy to see you and happy to have you there and helpful. And it's become a bit of a home away from home when you just need 5 minutes to have somebody, you know, there's just somebody you've got to tell. I bought this new pattern, or I can't find this floss, or what fabric do you think I should use? Or, you know, my magnifiers, I can't find a replacement part for my such and such magnifier. I mean, honestly, you can jump online at any time, night or day, and probably within, you know, at least an hour. Let's give it an hour for the toughest question. You'd have an answer. And not just an answer, but you'll have several other people chime in and say, "Ooh, this," or "Ooh, that," or "Oh, yeah." And it's absolutely incredible. And it's made me feel like I fit in. And I know you know what I mean, because I'm sure that many of you are like me. I do classify myself as an extroverted introvert because I love to talk, but I do need some time to be by myself. In fact, that time by myself is really quite important. And when I'm by myself, the things that I like to do are the same things that you like to do. And not a lot of other people understand that. Now, I am extremely fortunate. I mean, really fortunate that I have a very, very good community of crafters here in London, Ontario, where I live. And I am so fortunate because I know there are many of you out there who don't have that. And I've always had a group since I became, well, I don't know. There were a few years there where I had nobody. But then when I found my cross-stitch store, Thread and I found a community through Kathy and Neil's shop. And I've been extremely lucky. But they're not going to answer my phone call at 3 a.m. in the morning. And so being able to, I'm going to just put that needle over to the side, and the back of this needle minder has caught that needle, so it's out of the way, so that when I'm done here, I can just sew in my end, and then I can come over here and start this one. they're not going to answer my phone call at 3 a.m. Though if I needed help and I was in trouble at 3 a.m., I know they'd come to my rescue. But if I just wanted to ask a silly question, well, it's not silly. It's never silly, is it? If I wanted to just ask a question about something to do with my stitching, there's always a stitcher online. There's always a friendly place. There's always somebody who knows your name. So yeah, that's the greatest thing that it's given to me, is a larger community and feeling like I belong, which is pretty nice. I've made some really good friends. Even people that I've never met and I probably never will meet in real life because, well, there's an ocean between us. But maybe one day. But even if we never meet in real life, it's been amazing. So I hope that answered your question, Kyle. It was a good question. So I never told you the end of the furnace saga. On Christmas Eve day, our furnace decided to stop working. And we did have the repairman. He actually arrived shortly after I was editing that video, so I was able to pop in a photo of his truck because he was there. Make sure I'm doing this right. Looks good to me. So anyways, he was able to sort of patch together a bit of a repair. And so it has been working the last couple of days. And my father, when he arrived on Christmas Day, he had a good look at it and he agreed with what the technician had said. And fortunately for us, super fortunately for us, my father, who's a journeyman, he still has his license and he still has all of his contacts for parts and things like that. He is able to get the parts for us at his distributor, and he is picking those up this afternoon, and he's back on his way to London this afternoon to fix our furnace. Isn't that a pretty nice Christmas gift? I thought so too. So I'm hoping we can convince him to stay for dinner, because we did suggest that he stay overnight, but I think he's hoping to get back to my mom tonight. So we'll see what we can do. At the very least, I'm hoping we can convince him to stay for supper. Wasn't that video cute of him with Luna the other day? That was yesterday's video, but that happened on Christmas Day. So cute. So that's the upshot to the furnace story. We're going to try and baby the old furnace just a little bit longer, because my father has done so much work on it previously that so many of the big expensive parts that would break down are practically new. So it's almost like we've rebuilt that furnace. So it just seems a bit silly to replace the whole thing when with just a few new parts we could, get some more use out of it. So that's the way we're going. I have an old student coming for dinner tonight. Old flute student. Oh, I split that thread, didn't I? Shoot. Let's see if we can back our way out of here. There we go. There. Better. An old flute student who she was one of the very first students I ever started teaching. Oh goodness, how long ago would that have been now? Sarah was just a baby, so that would have been 18 years ago. And she was one of my first students, and she was just a young thing, and we really got along well, and then she ended up babysitting Sarah for me. And then as she got older, she started teaching swimming lessons. So she actually taught both of my kids how to swim. Her name is Cassie. And she's she's just one of my favorite people. And I only see her a couple of times a year. It's never enough. And fortunately, and also she's the one who house sits for us when we go away. She comes over and she stays with the dogs. So today is the first time she's meeting Luna. And so she's coming for dinner. And the other day she messaged me. She sent me a text. And it was just a picture. And the caption on the picture that she'd written to me was, I've picked up a new hobby. And I'm sure that you can all guess what that new hobby is. You guessed it. She has started cross-stitching. So I think she's pretty tickled with herself that she has picked up something that she knows that I love. And have you seen that kit? The little dinosaur sitting in a teacup, and the caption underneath says T-Rex. It's a cutie. Well, she had just started that when she sent me the first picture. And then not that long after that, she sent me another picture and it was completed. And she said, I think I'm hooked. So I have a Christmas gift for her. I've wrapped up a project bag for her Christmas gift this year. And so that she'll have a home. I've given her a slightly larger wedge tote so that she's got enough room, because she has already purchased some other small kits. And so I thought a project bag would give her a place to keep everything together in one place. And she's so excited. It's so cute. So she said, yeah, she showed me all the other kits that she'd bought, and she said, I'm doing this one for my mom, and this one's for my brother, and this one's for my other brother. And oh, she was so excited. It was really, really, that new Stitcher excitement? There's nothing quite like it. So that was really, really nice. So I'm excited to see her. Doubly excited to see her this afternoon. It's going to be good. Other than that, my father should be arriving soon to repair the furnace. I'll have to take Luna for a little walk in a bit. It's extremely warm here today. It is over 10 degrees Celsius. And, you can wear a spring coat outside today. But it is supposed to cool down again tomorrow, I believe. We had quite a bit of rain come through in the night. So everything is damp and kind of, I don't know, just it's that it might be 10 degrees, but it still feels cool because it's so damp. But that's okay. I'm almost done this one here. There we go. I've got my bedroom door closed and I can hear Luna outside wanting to come in. Almost out of thread here. Sorry, my hand has been covering up most of the top of the stitching there, I think, but that's okay. So yes, the last Friday, the last Stitch with Me of 2019, as we head into 2020, new decade. I have some plans. I have a new start planned for January 1st. I'm going to be starting the Brenda Keys Red House sampler. This is Brian Blitzstitch's Stitch Along. So I am joining him with his Stitch Along. And I picked out my fabric today for my new start. And oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Oh. I still have to put together all of my floss. It calls for DMC, which I have, I think I have most of the colors, so I just have to pull them and put that together. So I've picked out the fabric. I need to make sure it's cut to size, reserged, and find some stretcher bars for it. And then I'm ready to go. I'm also going to start filling out my planner that I purchased from Jen Lee. This is the hashtag 24 hours of cross stitch. I talked about it in a video. If you look backwards for a video that has a screen capture of me holding up a booklet, and on the front it says hashtag 24 HOCS, that's the booklet that I'm talking about, and there is a link in the drop down box on that video that will take you over to Jen's Etsy shop where you can purchase your own copy of this planner. It's massive, and I would like to start planning my stitching for next year. So I've had a few ideas about how I'd like to handle next year, because I've really missed working on my bigger projects, and I have some smaller projects in the works as well, but my big projects need some love. And so what I think I might do, and I'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow, is that I think I'm going to start a 24-hour rotation on my big pieces. And I mean 24 hours of actual stitching time. So I will be setting a timer, and then when I'm stitching on it, have the timer going. And spoiler alert, I've started it with Savon because I'd like to have 24 hours of work put into Savon before I move on to something else. And there's a little bit of sparkle there, isn't there? Strange. So 24 hours stitching time on each of my large project in rotation, I think I will actually start to see some substantial progress on my pieces, instead of, just putting a few threads in and then moving on to the next piece. So it gives me a little bit of accountability as well as sort of an end point, because I don't do well with, deadlines or saying I can't stitch another piece until I finish this piece. I am certainly not a one project at a time stitcher, but 24 hours is manageable. 24 hours of actual stitching. So I love Jen's idea, the whole, idea of 24 hours. So I'm just sort of expanding on that a little bit for myself to, there is a little sparkle in there somewhere. I think it probably, maybe it's from my minder. I don't know, but it's moved around a little bit, and it's so cute. A little teeny sparkle every once in a while. I'll see it. But anyways, I put in a few hours last night, and I did I did more fill in here. I did quite a bit of this motif here. I filled in all of the green here. I filled in this blue here, and a little bit more of the rust color over here. So I actually feel like I've made some decent progress. Made a bit of a dent in it. So I will be selecting. I haven't decided on an exact number, but I'm thinking 5 or 6, probably 6 large projects that I'm going to focus on for next year, that I'll do a 24-hour rotation on each one with smalls and extras at the same time, and then my 4 new starts that will happen for the 4 high tees that I've set up for next year. And that's the plan. That is the plan. Okay, so I can hear some action happening downstairs. I have a funny feeling that my father has arrived, and so I better go so that he knows that I heard him and that I know he's here. Otherwise, it's a bit rude. So I will say goodbye for today. Thank you for joining me for all of the Friday Off the Grid Stitch With Me parties. I fully intend, I'm hoping that maybe I can even sit for a few minutes tonight with Cassie, and I'm hoping she'll bring her stitching. I might text her and remind her to bring her stitching, and that we'll sit down together tonight and enjoy a little bit of the Friday Off the Grid stitching party. And I will see you over there on the Facebook group, Friday Off the Grid. And other than that, I will see you tomorrow for Flossmas Day 28. We are closing in on the end of the year. It's coming fast. Happy Friday, everybody. And thanks again to Kyle for the question. And I'll see you tomorrow. Happy stitching.